Today is Women's Day, and it's with reference to that I want to read a little bit of something from one of my favorite and most influential books with respect to being a woman, that is Women of Sufism, A Hidden Treasure. It's written by Sheikha Camille Adams Hilminski. And this passage is it's excerpted from a talk by Sachiko Murata, who wrote a very interesting book called The Tao in Islam. It deals with the issue of what does the feminine mean in Islam. The full name of the book is The Tao of Islam, a source book on gender relationships in Islam, Islamic thought. And here's a little something that I found interesting and very educative, so I want to share that. It says, and this is an excerpt from Sachiko Murata's talk. It says, in Tai Chi, the great ultimate, we have yin and yang. Yin and yang, the male and female principles, are the only principles through which this whole universe is created. Yang is the shining, the sun and the day, and yin is the shadows, moon, the night and darkness. So likewise, as activity, movement is yang, and receptivity or tranquility is yin. So if we say man is male, this is yang, and woman is yin, so he is yang and I am yin. But right now, I am referred to as yang, because I am the one speaking, and all of you are yin. You are listening to me. But in the next moment, someone else speaks, and they become yang, and I, in listening, become yin. So the relationship changes all the time. So woman in relationship to man is yin, but woman in relationship to her children is yang. Again, a woman's relationship to her mother is yin, but when a man is sleeping and a woman is awake, the woman is yang. And so it is after reading this passage, and by reflecting earlier upon the whole idea of yin and yang, that the whole issue of the masculine principle and the feminine principle and the difference between those became clear to me. And also I gained an insight. I thought, and this insight really came from various sources, from reflection upon language, from reflection upon how language has evolved over time, and that's a very interesting case in itself. And I really thought that sometimes what we are thinking is a man or a woman in ancient stories from our ancestors, folklore, ancient texts, or even scriptures, what we think might be referring to, the words that are referring to man, as in a human male with male sexual organs and a male body, or a woman, a human female with female sexual organs and a body, might not actually be referring strictly and always to man and woman, but rather to the masculine principle and the feminine principle. So they say that there is a difference between the sex of a person, and then gender is a different issue. But then I think even beyond that, there is a whole issue of the masculine and the feminine principle, and a man could be on the feminine principle, and a female could be on a woman could be on the masculine principle. And I give myself two very stereotypical examples to understand this whole affair. Stereotypical example number 1. 5 men go on an expedition to a mountain, and they choose amongst themselves a man as a leader. Now it is said, it is understood in several societies, including the one that I live in, that men are the leaders of women. I say, all right, if this is a truth and perhaps a truth, a scriptural truth, that it should always hold true in all instances. So how about this instance where 5 men go on an expedition and they choose amongst themselves one leader? So now the leader is man, and also the followers are men. So where's the woman? Is it still true that men are the leaders of women? No, that's not true. But here we're speaking about the distinction is between the masculine principle, the leader is on the masculine principle, and the team, or who we could call followers, on the feminine principle, that is the principle of receptivity, and this is the principle of commanding. This person is the one who takes some decisions, not all, but some decisions. And these are the people who follow him. Really, if you could watch them in action, maybe there's a point where the leader is saying, "You there, you pitch the tent. You there, you handle the food thing." And this person is the commander. I give you another stereotypical example. 10 women arrange a bake sale. Once again, they choose a leader. Now, who is the leader? The leader is a woman. And who are the rest of the team? Also women. And they don't need a man. But this woman is following the masculine principle in as far as the masculine principle means commanding and leading, and the feminine principle means being receptive. These are just names for 2 different kinds of energy. This person is in ancient language the man. And I think the issue really here is of language. Ancient language, or more primal language, was less well defined than the language that we have today in the contemporary world. And what they were really trying to define, in my understanding and opinion, what they were really trying to define were 2 different kinds of energy. This energy and that energy. The up energy, the down energy, the starting energy, the receiving energy, altercation. In the world of physics, again, we have potential energy and kinetic energy. We have inertia, and then we have action. And this is really how the world is led. This is really how the world gets into movement, by altercation. There is movement, and then there is day. There's day, and then there is night. Life goes on by altercation, and neither really is better than the other. This idea that we have in our head that perhaps somehow the masculine is better is really just a cultural idea. It's a notion that society or societies, different societies around the world and over times have inculcated in themselves. What really is better? Going back to our example, is a leader who fails to become a good leader ultimately better simply by virtue of being a leader? Or is one of the team members who is an excellent team member better? And I think there is no competition between the two. They are competing only with their own excellence. Am I a good leader within myself? Am I reaching 100% of my potential, or realizing more of my potential? And likewise, if I'm a team member, am I as good as I can get or not? If I'm a very good team member, then I'm better than a very bad team leader. Also, it is just a prejudice in our head in which we believe that the leader is somehow better simply by virtue of being a leader. Ask yourself, if the leader had nobody to command, would there still be a leader? Is it the leader who powers people, or is it the people who power the leader? Or is it a two-way relationship? Leader gives to the people, people give to the leader, leader gives to the people, people give to the leader. It's an altercating relationship. There's really no competition here, and this relationship exists simply as a matter of creating a capacity for movement. And that's how things are. The masculine and the feminine principle reinforce each other. And we see this everywhere. We see this in electric currents. We see this in business cycles. We see this in the cycles of the day. We see this in the ebb and flow of the oceans. Ebb, flow, ebb and flow. Likewise it is with electrical current. Up and down, up and down. Likewise it is with waking and sleep. Up and down, up and down. Neither is better than the other. One could not do without the other. A human being cannot function in the waking state if there were no sleeping state. And unfortunately, some of the melodies of our world today is because we have put the masculine principle above the feminine principle and disregarded the feminine principle. For instance, our societies are always, modern contemporary societies are always working, and work and constant working is considered to be some kind of a virtue, and you would probably not find a great virtue in sleep and in rest. And it is only now for the past, say, 5 or 3 or 2 years that people have become much more contemplative. After societies have started breaking down, after they've reached their full potential and full capacity, that people are deliberately slowing down and seeing this as some kind of remedy, but this is not just a remedy, this is the way to be. And so that really is the reality of the relation of the feminine and the masculine, and therefore men and women. We wish that there is a day when these conflicts that are just created by the way human brain perceives something, which perceives the lower as the lower or inferior, the higher as something that is superior. One day, may these conflicts of perception dissolve and we see our real place and existence as human beings, as masculine and feminine manifestations of humanity. May this conflict resolve. Amen.